morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's Workshop. So today is the video of the full tour of the Rooming House Dollhouse in its present day state. Now, before I get to what it actually looks like today, I am going to give you all the footage or all the slides and pictures I have of it over the years of me working on it. I originally got the dollhouse roughly around 2006. Yes, I got it in 2006. And I want to show you what it looked like then. It had actually endured several Michigan winters, and it was owned by a lovely lady by the name of Lulu. And she sold tomatoes out in Belleville, Michigan. And I met her when I was buying tomatoes, and she had a great big beautiful dollhouse in her window of a big picture window of her home. And when I saw the dollhouse in her picture window, I asked her about it. She took me in, showed me the dollhouse, and after us talking about miniatures for as long as she could, she told me she wanted to show me something. And she took me out to her tomato shed at the end of her garden, and this big, huge dollhouse that had been out there for years. And she said that she had it custom made and had intended to decorate it like she had done the one that was in her big picture window. She said, but life changed. She did not get opportunity to do it. And time had gone on and she really didn't have a chance to complete it. And she looked at me and said, do you think somebody will give me $40 for it? In that moment, I got excited and I said, I'll be right back. And at the time, in my early life, I had a truck, and I went home and got the truck and got back over there to pick up the dollhouse. And it has been a precious possession of mine for many, many years. And I was so grateful to have started this channel, to have an opportunity to work on it regularly and bring it to the state of completion that brings it to where it is now. And it has been such a journey with you all working on the Rooming House Dollhouse and getting it to where it is today. But so let me stop talking and go ahead and share with you the pictures and slides and photos of the Rooming House Dollhouse in its progressive state, how it looked when I first got it, and bring it up to date so you can see what it looks like now. Okay. So dolls, these are original or first photos of the Rooming House Dollhouse when I first purchased it 20 years ago. Now this dollhouse has a very rare and unique design because it was made by joining two smaller dollhouses in the center to create one big house. Now although it was built really sturdy with some good plywood, many of the door and window openings were not standard or square. So I had to do a lot of modifications to level out the windows and the door openings, and the areas that had been weakened by Michigan winters, I added wood putty. Now to seal the wood, I painted on some of that paint-on sealant to keep the wood stain from bleeding through. And over the first 5 years of owning it, I worked on it little by little when I could. Now I found the idea on YouTube about how to add the egg carton as stone on the outside, and that was in 2006. I really wish I could find that video. And during the early attempts to decorate the inside of the house, I merely used scrapbook paper as wallpaper. But most of the wallpaper at the craft stores looked pretty modern and generic, and many times the patterns were too big. And plus, I didn't really have a vision for the house because I felt like the house was too big for just one family. So I focused on the outside of the house until I could catch a vision for what I wanted the house to really be. Now, after I added all the egg carton, I really liked it, but I thought the color looked pretty bland. So I painted each individual stone with watered down acrylic paint in multiple layers and multiple colors to give it a dimensional look, in shades that I thought would look natural as field stone. Now the acrylic paint was really watered down and I did lots of layers. And after sealing the stones, I used joint compound as my grout. And I will leave a link in the description that shows you start to finish how to make bricks and rocks with egg carton. Now the first floor windows were added many years ago, but the second floor windows weren't purchased or added until 2020. Now some may be curious why I'm showing all of these old photos of what the rooming house looked like before I got to where I am today. I believe that many times times when you see things in their original state or you understand where something began or where it started, it gives you a deeper appreciation for how glorious it is. I always love watching those shows like This Old House or the different home renovation or home remodeling shows where you see the house go from really bad to really good. And although I love them all, it's something special about renovations, especially of an old house, because it challenges your imagination to see the beauty in the dollhouse, even in a state of reckless neglect. It's truly a labor of love. Now I want you to pay close attention to a couple of these windows. Now most of the window cuts were quite jagged and irregular, and per Daddy's instruction, I added stacked layers of cardboard to fill in the gaps. Now the great thing about cardboard is very flexible, and I was able to reinstall the windows and then paint them in a tone to match the second floor windows that were stained. Now as I added shingles to the roof, I did add siding to the dormer, but in order to open the roof, I had to open it over the dormer, which created a whole nother challenge. Now, this is a picture of when I had to rip a whole window out of the frame in order to correct it. And there it is, reinstalled. Now, after the second floor windows were fully installed, I added the additional egg carton to seal them in and complete the look. And in this frame, I added additional paint to make some stones stand out. And when I was done with the process, this was my result. Now, many of these next pictures were of the inside of the dollhouse. Now, the dollhouse had, again, several irregular door openings. Now, this was the door to the kitchen, and I closed it off because I felt like the big wide opening was taking up too much wall space, which would limit me with how much furniture I could put in. So I turned the double door opening into a single door opening by gluing together 3 layers of cardboard to make drywall, which created a thickness to match the thickness of the plywood. And after the cardboard was dry and in place, I added wood putty and spackle to seal it all in. Now, in a couple of the earlier frames, you could see that I used a really dark green when I painted the original beadboard. But for the renovation, I opted for a brighter look. And here's a quick glimpse of that new look. Now, I do apologize that some of these upcoming pictures were not filmed in sequence, but I still think these pictures or photos are relevant so you can see the befores and afters of the process. And if nothing else, I want to inspire and encourage you to make your dollhouse your very own. You don't have to accept it the way it was designed or the way it was built. That was someone else's idea. Break all the rules and make it your very own. Now, although I gutted the whole kitchen, I kept my key appliances and a lovely little stove I bought from Muriel's Dollhouse shop in Plymouth, Michigan. And I believe it's still on Penniman Street. Now, Daddy told me I needed a platform under my stove, so I created that from cardboard and egg carton. Now, the cabinet in the corner was custom made for this space, and I created it prior to starting this channel. Now, these wide plank floors in the house were made by using jumbo craft sticks, and this is the pantry area. Now, this is the other side of the house where Marguerite's room was, and I closed up the floor because her room used to be a hallway, and the floor was open for a staircase. So I want to encourage you dolls to modify your dollhouses in whatever way you need to suit your taste or your needs for your dolls. Now, one of the odd features to this particular house is that some rooms had 2 doors on the same wall. So I closed off a couple of doors using the same technique as I used for the kitchen door. Now, this is a flashback to Albert and Violet's room before or during the remodel. Now, I created all the floors for the house on removable templates so I could easily produce them outside the house and then install them separately. And as a tip, use graph paper to size your template. Now, there was an additional door in the pantry, and you can see this is the back hallway before I added the staircase. Now, you can see here in some of these frames, I did each part individually. I created the template, I created the floor, then I stained the floors and installed them. So don't try to do everything at once. Break it down into small stages. Now, at this stage, I was playing around with the idea of how the dolls would access the attic, and I wasn't willing to open up a hole in the floor, but I wanted to give the illusion that the stairway opened into the attic. And in order to make the staircase more substantial and believable, I added an understair closet or storage area. Now, the room with the dark wood floor is Albert and Violet's room, and the white floor is the girls' room on the other side. Now, here is Sterling and Marva's room, another room with 2 door openings on the same wall. And this hallway is actually an after picture, and that's next frame is what it looked like before it was all wallpaper with the doors installed. So the gray patch is the part with spackle, and this is what it looked like with the wood putty first. Now, these next couple frames is when I was working on Marguerite's room. After I closed up the floor, I was doing a template for the floor, but then I realized that hallway area needed to be blocked off with an additional door, and I needed to create a wall on top of the door. So that was a whole nother part of the project to give this room more dimension and privacy. And I think it turned out really nice. So like I said, dolls, customize your house to work for what you need for your dolls. Now, this next grouping of pictures is for the cafe area and the music room, and that's the music room without the doors. And this is the cafe with the first wallpaper I put on. Now, here I'm using the egg carton technique slightly different. I used it this time to create a floor and to cover a part of the wall in the cafe. Now, in this frame, I'm using the jumbo craft sticks to make a floor. Now, these are the floors for the music room. There it is after it's stained before it's installed. Now I have a couple more random pictures thrown in here. You can kind of tell by the wallpaper which rooms they are and which areas they're in. I think that's Marva and Sterling's room when I was resizing the doorway. And here's a room where I had installed the floor before I added that extra door to the hallway. Now you can tell by the wallpaper that's Marguerite and Sadi's room now. And here is a glimpse of the cafe after I'd installed the stone on part of the wall. And this is on the dining room side after I'd made the parquet floor. And there's a glimpse of my parquet floor before I stained it and the template to size it. Now here's the cafe floor while it was drying and the custom pieces created for the wall. And this room with the crib is Miss Maisie's room on the 3rd floor. Now these next pictures are of my lovely double doors. I actually purchased double doors for the dining room area and also the cafe and the parlor. Now the cafe and the dining room are on coordinating sides of the house, but the dining room is slightly bigger. And you can see from this angle that I painted the middle part of the door black to look like wrought iron. Now some of the doors in the house I stained a light brown and other ones I stained dark because I wanted the house to look like it was done on a budget, so they had different stains and different paints and whatever they had on hand to renovate this big old house. And here is my exterior. That's the kitchen back door. And this is all the windows all installed. And the house is really all finished on the outside and now ready to be decorated on the inside. And here's a glimpse of me staining or aging some of the rocks on the outside to make them look more worn and weathered. So here's a picture of my dollhouse right after I took it out of storage before I started the renovation and started my channel. I can hardly believe that I let it sit for 15 years and almost gave it away. It was really great to just walk back down memory lane to really realize how far I've come and how I really didn't have a true vision for the dollhouse until I started to create my dolls. And as I created my dolls and created each family, it became crystal clear what type of house it needed to be and the type of things I would need to create to bring forth the vision that I could see in my heart. I wanted it to be somewhere that was a combination of a residence and somewhere travelers could come to get a hot meal and a cozy, safe place to stay overnight. Because there was a time in history where hotels weren't available or welcoming for everyone to go to. So that's when my vision for the Rooming House Dollhouse was born here on Little Gretchen's Workshop. So let's go ahead and start this tour off in the Rooming House Cafe. Now, this wasn't the first room that I renovated or decorated, but it is a very special room to the house because what good is a rooming house without a wonderful cafe or a place to feed your guests and the people that come through town looking for a warm place to stay and to have a hot meal. Now, I want you to take note that each of the tables has a different tablecloth and different chairs because when people were decorating things modestly, everything wasn't all matchy. They used what they had. So although this tiny cafe isn't formal, each hot meal can be enjoyed in the atmosphere of safety, comfort, and refuge from the long rugged road, whether it be day or night, traveling in all types of weather as a precious doll. Now this next room is the music room where they teach the children how to play several different instruments or where music can be enjoyed after a dinner or a long day after work in the rooming house community. Now, there are several different instruments that are available. They have a harp, a violin, and the piano. And I do believe there's a French horn in the room. And plenty of sheet music so that they can learn songs, teach songs, and sing along together as a community. Now, this room is right next to the cafe, and it's also right on the other side of the back hallway and the parlor, if you were trying to determine the proximity of this room. Right on the other side of those double doors is the cafe. Now, this next area or room is the pantry. And I'm sure some people refer to this room as the larder because it's where a lot of the food is stored. Now, the ice box is in this room and the cabinet that's called the pantry cabinet. So it's food storage where the food is prepared and kept cool. And it's a lot cooler than being in the kitchen where the big cast iron stove is. Now, I'm just trying to give you a close-up of some of the details. That's a box of green beans that needs to be processed. Now, for those of you all who are new to the channel, that cabinet on the wall and the red cabinet are both pieces that I handmade here from scratch on the channel, and I will leave a link in the description so you can see both of those videos as well. Now, from this angle, you can see the food prep table and, again, a lot of the produce and bins and boxes and things, and I will leave links in the description for when I made the produce. Now, here inside the cabinet, I do have a lot of things that are stored that I created to fill this cabinet. Lots of foods, things that I jarred. So I've got another video coming up when I'm going to be jarring and creating some more food, but I will leave a link in the description for when I jarred some of those foods. Now, right through that curtain is a laundry room, which you will see in a later part of the video, but I just wanted to show you everything with the stairs removed. Now, this next room is one of my all-time favorite rooms in every dollhouse, which is the kitchen. And I just have got stuff everywhere. Now, straight to the back, that cabinet on the wall and the one that's just below it was handmade from scratch by me. I actually made it before I started the channel. That stove is an old stove that I had a long time ago, but I've decorated with the food and everything. But I'm just trying to zoom in here so you can see all the details. Lots of dirty dishes, plenty of food and produce that needs to be processed and prepared to keep up with the supply demand for all the people that are in the rooming house. Now, there's a whole series of videos as it relates to the Rooming House Dollhouse kitchen, so I won't put links in the description for this, but just go to my playlist and watch all the videos under Rooming House Dollhouse kitchen. So let's go back through the pantry and up to the second floor. Now, this is the second floor, and this is the back hall right outside Violet and Albert's bedroom. And the staircase is the faux staircase that leads up to the third floor. Now, this is the staircase that I made, and I created a faux opening, so it actually doesn't go anywhere. It just gives the impression that it does. And there is a link in the description or in the playlist for the back hall. Now, this is an understair cabinet that I created when I first made the Rooming House Dollhouse. Now, this is a trunk. There's a video on the trunk as well, but inside this understair staircase is lots of supplies for all the new babies. So that's sort of the storage area for diapers and all the toiletries and things for residents and boarders of the Rooming House Dollhouse, but especially for the babies. So here I'm going to just angle the camera a little bit so it'll give you perspective. So this is just above the larder or the pantry, right outside Violet and Albert's bedroom on the second floor. And here I'm going to just kind of stand back a little bit so you can see the full area. And again, I didn't turn this area into a room. I just allowed it to be a hallway space, which I really think gives the house a lot of dimension. And that hallway door goes over to the other side where there are two doors where there are other bedrooms. So let's go to the other side of this door. Now, this is Albert and Violet's bedroom. Now, they're one of the couples that just had a new baby, and I didn't have the heart to make Violet get up. She's really tired from delivering the baby, and Albert is there comforting her and keeping watch over the baby while she rests. But this is their bedroom. This is one of the very first rooms that I did when I started to remodel or decorate the Rooming House Dollhouse. So this room has a lot of precious memories because I actually started the channel working on this room. Now, those lovely curtains were made by a piece of silk that actually belonged to my great-grandmother. And there is a video for making curtains from scraps in the playlist. Now, this is the room right on the other side of the back hallway, and this used to be Marguerite's room. Now, it's actually exactly the same as that hallway area, but I closed up the floor to make it a bedroom rather than a back hallway. Now it's kind of plain because Marguerite just moved out, but soon it'll be filled with Harper's things. Now right on the other side of that door is the girls' room. And it's 2 twin beds in here, lots of toys and plenty of girly things. Now this is where the little girls stayed. Now that room on the other side, which will be Harper's room, Harper is an older girl, so she doesn't have all these extras. Now we've got a playlist for the Rooming House Dollhouse girls' room, and both of the beds were made from scratch. And not only did I construct the beds, but I made all the pillows and linen for them as well. Now this is another one of my favorite rooms in the house. I really love all the mixed patterns and prints, and although they're different, I love the way everything came together. Now here we are in the back hall on the other side of the house, which is on the other side of that back hall with the stairwells. Now these shopping bags belong to Marva because she has so many things in the room, she hardly has space to store them all. Now this is Sterling and Marva's bedroom. This is Marguerite's mother and father. Now the video for those curtains is in my curtain playlist. Now that door that's hanging open in the ceiling is for the ladder that goes up to the attic. And I believe the boys keep bothering it. That's why it keeps hanging open. But I do need to secure it. But there is a link in the description from when I made the attic ladder. But I decorated this room, decorated the bed, and I also created the luggage bags and hat boxes in videos in earlier playlists on the channel. And I will leave names of the playlist and links as well. So let's go on across the hall to see the other bedroom, or the bedroom that used to be Sadi's room before he got married. Now here we are in the bedroom across the hall. Again, Sadi's former bedroom before he and Marguerite got married. Now this is not the bed that he was sleeping in. This is the bed they were preparing for Miss Clara, and she's been quite unhappy because she thinks the room is small. Now here we are in the Rooming House bathroom, which was a really big project for the Rooming House Dollhouse, which really kicked off and introduced the story of the dolls. Now there's the laundry chute, the little cabinet I made for all the towels and toiletries for all the residents of the house. This is a really big house, but there's only one bathroom, so quite a few people share this room, but I tried to make it as accommodating as possible. But it was a lot of fun putting this room together. I really liked the way the colors came together, and although everything isn't matchy-matchy, I think the colors and the decor blend really, really well. And I'm excited about all the little accessories that I've been gifted and given to really make this room what it is. And I really love doing bathrooms just as much as I like doing kitchens because it tells a lot of the story. It's a very personal space, so you really, really get a true glimpse and feel for the people who actually are residents of the home, based on the things in the bathroom, from the toiletries, the cleaning supplies, all their accessories, and tiny extras. There's so many different things I still want to add to this room, so many more accessories, but I think this is a great start. So dolls, when it comes to your bathrooms, really take the time to think about who this person is, how they live. To me, a bathroom is like a little glimpse of the tiny private lives of my dolls. And the fact that I keep creating new dolls and adding different things to the story, any room could change at any time. Now here we are in the hallway outside the bathroom, and that back doorway is to Harper's new room, and this room with the reef on it is Marguerite and Sadi's room. Now their room is still filled with gifts from their wedding and a lot of things that they brought back from their honeymoon. Now right there at the foot of the bed is Marguerite's new vanity and a lamp that I made in a previous video. Now the curtains for this room are in the curtain playlist, and this is the original wallpaper I put on the wall of this dollhouse about 16 years ago. It's the only room that didn't get new wallpaper in this renovation. And I'm just kind of scanning the room so you can see some of the lovely accessories the dolls have and things that they received. And there is a link in the description for the bed and the bedding, but many of the lovely accessories and details were gifted to the dolls or created specifically for them for their wedding. Now, this is the last room on the second floor, so let's go on and check out one of the bedrooms on the third floor, or the attic floor. Now, this is Miss Maisie's room. Now, this is Marguerite's grandmother, and this is her luggage and her old trunk. Now, she's in the room that's at the top of the steps of that faux stairway, and this is the faux stairwell on the other side of this wall. And I created that. I do have a playlist for that part of the renovation as well. But I made the bed, dressed the bed, made most of the accessories, including the trunk and the luggage. This was a really, really fun project, and I love Miss Maisie's room with all her little accessories. Now, she stays in the room with little Mabel, and that's little Mabel's little pink blanket. Now, this is the boys' room that's right next to Miss Maisie and little Mabel's room. Now, this set of beds was originally a bunk bed, but I separated them and dressed them as the boys' messy beds. Now, though the room is still a little bit messy with the playing cards and things on the floor, it's a lot less messy than it used to be because they've moved all their toys to the community playroom. Now, this is the newly decorated playroom that was actually created for all the children. But the majority of the toys in the room belong to the boys because the girls refuse to play up here when the boys are in there. And although the girls don't play up here very often, there are girls' toys in the room, although you can't see them very well. So let me move. Let me angle the camera so you can see the girls' things. Now you can see a little better that there are a couple of cribs, a stroller, and even a clock. And although the girls don't come up to the playroom area often, the boys don't tamper with their toys. And you can clearly see from this angle the boys' toys dominate the room. But I was really glad to give the children some dedicated space in the house. So let's look at the reading room. Now, this is also a part of the children's play area, and although that other room is for the toys, this is specifically for quiet play or reading for entertainment. And we've got the little red circle rug in the middle of the floor. Now, a lot of the items on the desk actually belong to Claude. He's been up here studying and reading because the little boys really don't have a lot of interest in sitting down reading or even being quiet. So for the time being, Claude has had this room all to himself. So here we are back downstairs on the first floor, and this is the back hall. And actually I consider it the entrance hall because this is where the guests or travelers leave their luggage while they are in the cafe eating or waiting to be assigned to a bedroom. So it's really an entrance hall for residents only. Now through those double doors is the parlor and then a door that takes you to the music room, and that's the music room you can see through that window at the end. And dolls, I really enjoyed creating this space because it gave me somewhere dedicated to store my trunks, luggage, bags, and boxes. Now, right through those lovely double doors is the parlor, and they still have the Christmas tree up, got the lovely chandelier there, and the nice warm fire. Now, this is the room that Pop and Miss Betty just got married in on Christmas Eve, and just kind of giving you a scan of the room so you can see some of the lovely decor and the pictures on the wall and the other lovely things that make this room really a cozy place to be. Now, you'll notice there are a lot of gifts that are unopened because this picture or this footage was actually taken just before Pop and Miss Betty's wedding, which was Christmas Eve 2025. Which in the era of my dollhouse would have been Christmas Eve 1905. Now, most of the furniture was from my collection, but many of the accessories were gifts. This room in particular has a very nostalgic feeling for me because it reminds me of my great-grandmother's house. She lived in a really big house in the Boston Edison district of Detroit. And another funny thing about doll houses, for some reason, after all the furniture gets in, it seems a lot bigger than it was when it was empty. And I really love how all the colors came together, so this is one of my favorite rooms in the rooming house. Now, this next room is the rooming house laundry room. And I'm really tickled about the way this room turned out. I really wanted it to be an old-fashioned cellar-looking back room laundry room, to be specifically for doing laundry and somewhere to put the hot water tank. And although this laundry space is not located in a cellar or a basement, I wanted it to be strictly for laundry and utility, nothing fancy. And you can see I added a laundry chute door to the wall. I've got the shelves with the laundry and cleaning supplies, a couple pots, got rusty pipes there, and even rust on the inside of the laundry tub with a chain for the stopper. Now, this room was so much fun to do. I mean, so many different details it gave me opportunity to think of and create. And you see I've got an ironing board, an old rusted pan on the wall, a jacket, and you see I put curtains on this side of the dining room doors to keep this area private. And if you look really close in the corner, I've even got a hot water tank there next to the curtain. I really love an opportunity to do another laundry room, an old one like this, whether it be a cellar or some type of old storage room or utility room, but this was a lot of fun to put together. I'm trying to get my camera in here so you can see some of the details that I added along the wall. It's supposed to be like a steam meter or a pressure meter that I've got there on the wall with the clock or the face on it. And I really want you to see those nice rusted pipes. The house I grew up in was built in the 1920s, so it had an old basement like this with beadboard on the wall. So the rusty pipes and the laundry chute were from a childhood memory. So let's come on out of the laundry room. So just to give you a perspective, the laundry room is right on the other side of the entrance hall, which is next to the parlor. So it's actually sandwiched or positioned between the entrance hall and the dining room. Now, I really love this dollhouse's unique design. It was actually made by combining two smaller dollhouses together to make one big house. And last but not least, for the grand finale, we have the Rooming House Dollhouse dining room. Now, earlier in the video, I shared with you the room that I call the cafe, which is for the visitors or the travelers who come by for a hot meal. But the dining room is specifically for the residents and the boarders. Now, as I mentioned before, some of this footage was taken just before or right after Pop and Miss Betty's wedding reception or wedding. So some of the things are still set up from that celebration. And the gem of this room is the beautiful china cabinet that's filled with all types of lovely china and decorative things that the dolls use throughout the year for their celebrations and to serve meals to the residents and boarders of the rooming house. So dolls, at this point, I'm just going to step back a little bit really slowly and just try to pan over the full view of the entire house, the full project, so you can see all the rooms collectively now that you've seen each room individually. And as I say all the time, I never believe that a dollhouse is ever really finished because there's always something that can be changed, improved. You may want to swap things out, just like you would do in a real house. I think it's a living piece of art, but I just wanted you all to see it at this state of completion. Now that all of the rooms have been individually decorated, you can see it as a whole now. And I'm really happy about it. I'm really proud of it because when I got it, I didn't have the vision that I have for it at this point. And it's really rewarding for me to see how it looks all together. There are some finishing things I need to do to the roof, but now that all the rooms are finished so that the dolls can comfortably inhabit the entire house without having construction and all kinds of building materials to step over and around. Everyone who is a resident or even a temporary boarder can be safe and comfortable in the Rooming House Dollhouse. Now, dolls, although this is my project and I'm the one that actually did it, it seems like every time I look at it, I see something slightly different that I didn't see before. It's like it keeps birthing a new vision. I think that's what's really so enchanting about dollhouses. It's like your eye just continues to catch details that it didn't see the first time around. So I'm just kind of going back and forth across the rooms to just give you dolls an opportunity to see things maybe you didn't see the first time, so you can see all the work and detail that went into bringing this project to this point of completion. And I'm really happy about how everything looks. I'm really, really tickled about the outcome, and I'm really grateful that you dolls have taken this journey with me. Now here are the still shots from both sides. Now, before I let you go, the dolls all got together because they wanted to take a collective community picture to be included to end this video. And here is the entire Rooming House Dollhouse doll community. Now, they asked me to speak on their behalf because their voices are small, but they individually asked me to thank you personally for all your generosity, kindness, and support as me and the dolls move forward into our 4th year. So until next time, we're looking forward to seeing you all right here on Little Gretchen's Workshop.